So we're live now, right?
Okay. Yep.
And just for context, you've spent the last hour running
Yeah, Aaron.
around the city in Australia. Which city in Australia?
So I'm north of Sydney. So I moved to the Central Coast, but long story short, it's 6 a.m. here in New South Wales in Australia.
Yeah.
And essentially I woke up at 4:30 this morning, I've got a co-working space
Yeah.
that I've got like a desk to, worked out that I can only get in there. Like between now and then, I worked out that I can only get in there at 7 a.m. So an hour ago, while we were chatting and stuff, I then went to Macca's. I was like, I don't want to let Jeff down. So I went to Macca's and I sent you a couple of voice memos going, dude, I know it's noisy as fuck, but like, do you still want to do the interview? Like, I don't want to, I know, Anyway, long story short, it's 6 a.m. I've got to try and keep it sort of on the lowdown, but still, yeah, I'm just back at home in my home office. The only problem is my kids are usually waking up about this time anyway, so it should be fine.
So we've gone from like a co-working space that wasn't open, right?
Yeah.
To what I'm assuming was a fast food restaurant.
Yeah, McDonald's. It's McDonald's. I call it Macca's. That's what Aussies call it. Have you never heard that before?
I've never heard of Macca's ever in my life.
If you speak to any Aussie and you say, do you want to go to Macca's? It's just, do you want to go to McDonald's?
That's so funny. So we were going to do the interview at McDonald's. Probably a not good idea, right?
Nah.
And so possibly in the middle of this interview, your kids might just end up joining.
Potentially. We'll see. I don't think they will. But one of their bedrooms is just next door anyway. So
that's so
all good.
Funny.
It was just roll with the punches. And no, look, I'm happy to be on. And thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm super psyched that you're here. You and I originally got connected, I think like a year or so ago through Andrew Cruzy.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when I think like you had your agency, but you're trying to take it to the next step or something like that. And I remember, which we're going to talk about in a bit.
Yeah.
Last voice note I heard was, hey, Andrew, I just landed an $80,000 deal. And I was like, holy shit. Right.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool journey. It's a really cool story. And what I want is for you to start before you started your agency.
Yeah, sure.
Because I know you had a full-time job, right?
Yeah. Yeah, as of January this year, I had a full-time job. So basically, before that, I was working in an admin-based role for an insurance company, one of the biggest banks here in Australia. And basically, I managed to find a way that I could work from home. So I was literally working from home full-time, which allowed me to I want to share this story as well. Whilst I was working full time, the way I was able to go out to my meetings, to like all the things that I was doing was our system for our thing. So basically, if you get a laser mouse and you put it on top of an analog watch where the hand goes round, if you move the mouse every 5 minutes, it makes it look like you're still active, your profile's still active. And that is my secret to how I built my business. I'm not lying.
So that's how you got around the software that was tracking if you were
my
still
progress. Yeah, I was
so
exactly. Yeah. So that's the extent of the length that I would literally go for 3-hour lunches to meet up with clients and stuff. I'd go to business networking events, meetings, this, that, the other. There were a couple of times I got caught out. Not caught out. I never got caught out. There were times where my boss rang me and he goes, I thought you were active at home, and I was in the car. Like I was in the car driving back, and I was trying to. Yeah. So anyway, it was a massive. If anything, once I finished my job, it was a massive relief not to have to just be in two places at once.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so before we go into that, let's backtrack a bit, right?
Yeah.
So how long were you at your full-time job up to that point where you're like, I need to do something else?
I I originally started this particular journey. So like for the last 12 years, I've worked in graphic design. Like I've done graphic design as a side hustle.
Yeah.
It was June 2017 that I think I picked up a Tai Lopez course, .com Secrets by Russell Brunson.
Yeah.
And then all the other little programs and things like that along the way. And so June 2017, I think Andrew was just starting. That's when I first seen Andrew. He was starting to explode at that point.
Yeah.
And from there, and so I think when we met, we're also both in Johnny West's inner circle at the time.
Yeah.
And what, like,
I remember now, I was driving and I was like, hey, what the hell is going on here? Like, and I was like, you were the only person that like was responding at that moment because I got like royally screwed hard, right? And then you respond, and you're like, man, I have no idea what's going on. I'm feeling the same way. Like that was the first program where I was like, man, this sucked, right? So we don't have to like go into do too much in depth, but like you got started with like Tai Lopez and got targeted by Russell Brunson, and that's what made you realize that there was a better way, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And all this was happening while you had a full-time gig.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And so during that period of time, I was working from home, obviously doing my thing. And I think it was just at the just at the end of 2017 when I started to make like a couple of $1,000s a month through agency stuff. Just wasn't consistent. And then when I think we caught up, I think it might have been early 2018 or something along those lines. I was still doing agency. I'd have great months and then I'd have shit months.
And when you say agency, you mean like doing Facebook ads on behalf of somebody else, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I then veered into like implementing messenger bots. I then veered into like doing video. I veered so many different ways, and it was almost like I was just trying to find something that works, but not sticking to it and really getting really stuck into it.
It's like joining multiple gyms because you don't get a six-pack overnight.
Exactly right. And so my problem was trying too many different things, but what I learned during that process is I learned an overall branding strategy, if that makes sense. If I take anything from it, I learned so many things. I was basically learning about business and branding during that period of time, which is essentially exactly what I teach through what I do now.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And so whilst it can be viewed in a number of different ways. The good thing is that like my experience with trying to, sell chatbots and stuff like that, my experience with all these different things meant I was able to connect chatbots to, video and engagement and this and that. Like it all just sort of come together in a practical way and taking the best elements of everything and just going, how do we put this all together to make a business grow sort of thing.
All of this was happening while you still had your full-time job, right?
Yeah.
So like, was there ever a point where you're like, I feel like royally screwed, like I'm working 2 full-time jobs. I need like, everyone has that breaking point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, look, here's what was actually happening. I was screwing over my full-time job because so I was meant to work 8 hours a day. And I've managed to find a way to work 8 hours within 3 hours. Like nice. I was doing certain things, like I was cutting some corners and I was doing some things, like I was always fulfilling my job, but the way that I thought I should do it, that's still ticking off my KPIs.
So I did the same thing at Intel, right?
Yeah.
So like they'd give me like a project and I'm like, oh God, I don't know how to do all this. It would take like 24 hours. I'm like, there's got to be somebody with like a PhD that I can pay like $150. So I paid him $150. He did like 3 days worth of work in like 25 minutes. I was like, I'm done. I'm out. Right. And so like I had to walk around stressed. Like this project is taking so much time. Oh my God. I don't know. It took me like he just showed me, he's like, click that click. I was like, oh, this is perfect. Right. So like, I know that feeling, but what I'm really curious about, and we're starting to get questions that come in and stuff like that, is that like, how did you get your first client while having your first real job? You know what I mean?
Sure. I think so. My first ever paying client came from a question in a Facebook group.
Nice.
And I think it was actually from memory, it was actually, you know how in Dan Henry, I haven't done Dan Henry's program, but in Dan Henry's program, I overheard something about the curious student question in a Facebook group. So there's a really big one here in Australia. I asked it. I got probably 60 responses, which was incredible. Not all of it was like
fucking JR. God damn it. That's There's Alan Howell. Alan, you want to say hi?
Oh shit!
What's happening?
Yes, we're live.
We're live.
Literally ruining my. Oh god.
Dude, how mad would you be if I just like whipped out my wiener?
I would be like 19 people.
Do you think that, you'd get a lawsuit?
Yes.
Or do you think I'd get a lawsuit?
Okay. All right.
Hey, bro.
Both of us. Okay, go back to your space. JR's in Miami.
How funny. Awesome.
Yeah.
No, so look, what was I saying? Something about what was I saying?
So you like Dan Henry's program, the Curious Student?
Curious Student. There was I obviously the Curious Student is offered to do work for free.
Yeah.
But then there was someone who said to me, "Nah, I want," like she almost insisted, like, if you can deliver these results, I'll pay you. And I said, look, how about we just do it and just run with it? And like it was incredible. Like, so we got the results. We got the leads. She wasn't able to convert, which meant she still paid me. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, long story short, that was my very first client, November 2017. And then from there, it was just a matter of a lot of my success came from business networking meetings and events and just networking, as well as lots of Facebook group stuff.
That's super interesting.
Yeah. And then the biggest interesting thing is like when you go from doing agency and then pulling the pin on creating a Facebook group, which then in terms and then going along the process to create a program. That's when everything exploded. Really, really, kicked off.
So we're going to get to that in like 2 seconds. Because I want to make sure that everybody watching has like a fundamental understanding of your story, right? Because I think that's the coolest part. So you had a full-time job doing like basic administrative work.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, can I work from home? They say, sure.
Yep.
And you find a way to fool the time tracking system.
Yeah.
And while that's happening, you're trying to make your side gig agency work, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So like you're doing Curious Students, you're meeting people in person. You're trying to sell everything that you possibly could just to get something that could stick, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And through all the conversations that you're having with real life people, saying chatbots and landing pages and funnels, you're finding a way to string it together so it sounds good. And that was just called branding, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. And I think what I also learned during that process is really like for anyone who's listening and maybe stuck where I was, I think the really big thing is that I found my uniqueness in the regards that like no one is me, no one has my energy. Like, see, Jeff, you've got it. Like one of the things I really respect about you is you've got a really creative nature, and it's a very dry, blunt humor as well. Like you've got all your little hashtags, like and, this my face, butts, asses, all that other shit, right?
Yeah.
But that's you. That's like it's just come from your creativeness, who you are, and just being like living in the best, like the best version of you. And I think one of the biggest things that I realized, on top of earning money to progress and to eventually do six figures in 2018, for me, was learning that it's not fake it till you make it. It's being grateful that you're in the journey and you're progressing through your own business.
So that's like the coolest part is like you really got to look at it as like you're writing chapters of your book.
Exactly.
Like you're climbing
and just
the
be
mountain.
happy that you're like I can laugh about it now. I fucking hated 2018 at points, right?
Yes.
But like it's who I am, and it's like it built stamina and it built grit. And if I didn't go through that, like fuck, would I be? I don't know how I deal with some of the conversations now that I'm having. You know, with the contracts, clients, this, that, the other. Like it all prepares you exactly how you need it to be. And sometimes you just can't outgrow your own your own journey, if that makes sense.
It's like, so the analogy is like I just call it freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Like you got your first year in college, your second year, third year, fourth year, and everybody knows people that jump grades. Something's always a bit funky, right? Like you know, the person that jumped eighth grade to 12th grade, and you're like, I don't know. He just seems to be a little bit, it's either too smart or too far off. Like I'm totally okay being a freshman and being a sophomore and wholly completely being a freshman. Like, guys, 100%. It's okay. Like I didn't fuck up. I'm a freshman. I'm not supposed to know this stuff. Right.
Yeah. 100%.
So like, so your first freshman year was 2 jobs, right?
Yeah.
How did you, so what was it like saying I quit? Like what was your side gig income?
Fuck.
How did you go like full in? Like when did you say I'm done here and move all the way over here?
Sure. So I think it was just at a point where like I'd promised my wife a certain dollar amount. There was some debts and things that I was paying off. I got screwed over with some like coaches and whatnot early on in 2018.
Yeah.
That's a different story. But essentially it just came down to the fact that for my position, I have a mortgage, a wife, and 2 little kids.
Yep.
And it's hard. It's really, really hard because I see like, you know, when you're looking and watching other people like yourself, like Andrew, who obviously don't have families and all that other stuff, to see you like go out and do this and to go out and do that. And just be appreciative of what you do have, and that point. So to answer your question, God, it felt good to get to 6 figures at the end of 2018, to a point where I could go, enough's enough.
Yeah,
I'm fucking quitting. And by that point in time, I was just over it. Like I was just like, fuck. Like the amount of mental preparation. Like I literally used to get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, every day. Knock out, like whether I go for a walk or whatever, just to get myself in the right headspace, then knock out the 3 hours worth of work. And then that's when I'd start my day. Really from that point on, kids would come home, look after them, bed, bath, dinner, blah, blah, blah. And then work again, you know, from 7 p.m., 8 p.m. onwards. And obviously you're not doing it every single day, but there were days where I would do that. I'd get up at 4 or 5 a.m., be working till, you know, 2 or 3 in the morning that night, and then potentially get up at 6 a.m. the next day and potentially do the exact same thing, you know? And it was just a relief that I felt like I was living 2 lives, to put it simply. Anyway.
So help me out. So the first year you did your agency, sucked in the beginning, but still got to $100,000 a year, right? So what was like this inflection point with your agency? Like, was it, and we can talk about this in like a couple of seconds. Was it like doing like LinkedIn to get people to hit your calendar? Was it meeting people in person? Like what helped do this, you know, your first year?
Yeah. So it was definitely LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I was using LinkedIn to funnel people into my Facebook group.
Cool.
So I know, and so I like, one of the biggest things that Andrew and like you obviously have adapted as well, is obviously building a community, a Facebook community,
No, community is good. Yeah.
I could see the value in it. And then, so from there, I was basically using LinkedIn which, by the way, I don't know if you use LinkedIn, but you can get some of the most qualified people. So that's a side note. But
so I am looking for like, we've got a cold email course coming out, right? Like a masterclass. And then after that, we're trying to figure out like a LinkedIn thing. So we'll talk about that in a bit, but
dude. Oh, all right. Yeah. Side note. Anyway, LinkedIn was basically one of the biggest things that helped me on top of all the normal stuff that you're doing in your Facebook group, like posts, content, all that other stuff to build that community. So whilst all of that is happening, it was basically my Facebook group that was the centerpiece of everything. And then the agency started to flow. I obviously built out a program out the back of it, was doing masterclasses and different things. But this is, if it's okay, this is where I really got the social proof to attract an $80,000 contract. Okay.
So that's what we're going to talk about right now. Right. So so you started doing LinkedIn for client acquisition, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That was like the holy shit, this is working thing, right?
Yeah.
And we're not going to talk about like how LinkedIn works or like the phone calls or like the follow up. But the point is that like you found, like, for some people it's paid ads, for some people it's cold email, some people's networking. You're like LinkedIn automation. That's it, right? And then you started getting proof, and then stuff started happening. How the hell did you get an $80,000 deal?
Right. So I think, all right. So the dude who handed me the contract, originally he's someone, funny enough, I approached him at the end of 2017 and I think, or maybe even beginning of 2018. And I approached him to do some Facebook Messenger stuff. And it was like, because he's a real estate agent, he's a principal, which means he owns a real estate agency with his business partner. I offered him some basic stuff to do with Messenger. He at the time just goes, nut. And funny enough, he actually came back to me and he goes, why would I hire you if you don't even, I've got a bigger following on Instagram and Facebook than you do on my Facebook page. And that was his reasoning as like, and I was trying to sit there and go, but it doesn't matter about your following, you know, it's about the amount of money that's coming through. He would not listen, right? I interviewed him in my Facebook group when I first started it. He's always been a good mate of mine because he in fact was my manager 5 or 6 years ago when I worked for a different company in sales and whatnot. And at the end of the year, because we just kept in contact and whatnot, he'd been following my journey from zero to hero.
So that's, as a side note, for everybody watching, you 100% have to document your journey. You have that stuff on your personal page, right? Like on your Facebook group. You found ways to tell people where you were, what you were doing. And fundamentally, the reason why that's important is because everybody wants to reward the work part. Like you're working hard. I get it. I can reward that and move you forward. I've landed $10,000 deals that have lasted 3, 4, and 5 months, $10,000 each month, because people scroll through it and go, he's worth it. And it's about putting in the work and documenting it. So go on.
Exactly right. And then so by the end, once I'd left my job and everything else, shortly after that, we were just catching up for coffee and I was just explaining like what my goals are. And this is literally how the contract came about. We're sitting in his car, grabbing coffee, whatnot, and we're literally having a conversation like you and I are now, talking about this is what I want to do in this year. And what I said to him was, I want to work with 2 people, just strictly 2, and I want to look after everything. So all the things that I'd been dabbling in, what had worked, what hadn't,
That's why it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Like, because you've done a little bit of everything and you want to work in depth with only a couple people.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct.
Okay, go on.
Yeah. And so by that point, I said I was talking about video, I was talking about Instagram, I was talking about all this stuff. And he was just listening and he was just asking questions. And I thought he was just asking questions just because he's interested as a mate, as a friend. And then he just got to the point where he's like, well, how do you, and then he started asking like, well, how do you measure that? How, like, what would, and he started asking so how can I qualify this in a business sense? And then I said to him, I'd be charging, like for what I'm talking about, I'd be charging minimum, 8 to 10 grand a month because it's fucking like, it's, really big. And so I can see him clicking over. And by this point in time, I've realized that he's really interested. He's then come back to me and said, like, what if you do that for me? And I was like, no, and so here's the thing. I said no 3 times before I said yes. So at the time I said, no, hear me out, right? And I think this is what made it even better. Because he originally offered me something, and I said, no, look, this will not create the impact that you're looking to achieve.
Yeah.
And then so I had no attachment to the sale because it just come out of nowhere, and I really genuinely cared about him, where he wants to go. And basically, the 3 no's was me basically setting the terms of just saying, you know what, I'm not going to undervalue what I can offer in this situation. I know that, and he's like, so long story short, we basically in the car came up with an agreement, and then it got contractualized probably a week later. And
all right, so before we go into that, you're in the car, you're like, if I was going to do all this for somebody, it'd be like 8 to 10 grand. He's asking, how do you measure it? And then he says, could you do that for me? And you said no, right?
Yeah, because he, at the time, there were things that he for example, real estate agents in general are like, they're so fucking, I'm trying to look for the most respectful word whilst also calling it what it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's very tight with money, but he's also money hungry, obviously.
Yeah.
And so I just said he was like, I want set and forget. And I was like, but you need to still be somewhat involved in this process. Like I will look after this, but I need your commitment on, these aspects, because I'm essentially building a brand through this process.
Yeah.
And so that's where the 3 no's came in, because he wanted to do it a certain way. And I just said, no, it can't happen that way. It needs to happen this way.
So he disagreed with the way you would do your job. Is that fair to say? He just wanted me to do it and just make him money, right? Yeah. And I said to him that building a brand is more, especially a personal brand, is more than just throwing money at someone and just expecting results. Yep.
I explained to him about document, exactly like you're talking about, documenting your own story, sharing your own personal journeys, your flaws and things like that, especially for a real estate agent, who, sales agents who have massive pride in what they do. It's really hard. And so I think this is what makes the agreement so amazing, is because we both just came to this point where he completely understood exactly what I was trying to offer.
Yeah. And
he was willing, for the first time that in my life that I've ever known him, he was willing to pay top dollar for it.
Fantastic.
And so that was the incredible part about it.
But you also had 2 more no's, right? So the first no was because he just wanted to do no work and just get rich, right? And you're like, that's not how this works.
Yep.
Was there a second no?
Yeah, there was a second no, and that was he only wanted to pay me $50,000, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, the third no was he wanted me to be in the office 5 days a week. And I was like, no. This, I said, I've then going to everything else that I do, I'm basically jumping into another full-time job.
Yeah.
What's the point in that? And I said, we put, certain things in place to make sure that you're getting everything that you need.
Yeah.
Certain milestones and things like that. And from that, we then, and then guys, we both came to this agreement. It was both going to work for me. I put it a non-disclosure clause sort of, sorry, I'm not allowed to work with any other real estate agents one-on-one.
So I think that's really, really cool, by the way, because that's a really awesome opportunity to just charge a lot for what you couldn't have gotten or didn't want anyway.
Exactly.
This guy's paying you $80K. You're probably not going to risk that by working with another real estate agent.
Exactly.
Right? You might as well just put it on paper and have him be more confident in hiring you in the first place.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And so they're the 3 no's was the way that we do it.
Yeah.
The amount and the time. actually coming in and whatnot. And so we found the perfect mixture of all.
Yeah.
And so we set certain milestones at 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. And it's really that's basically how it's been working, and it's been good ever since. We've come into some hiccups since then, but like everything's working exactly as it needs to anyway. Like we're exceeding our targets.
Yeah.
They're extremely happy. And we've also found some other opportunities as well that we initially didn't see. So
I'm pretty sure someone's going to ask this. And guys, if you want to ask questions, now's the time. And I think this is a really cool conversation to have. So can you help me understand what you're doing in exchange for $80,000? Because whether it's like 3 months or 12 months, it's less about the time and more about what you're doing in exchange for money. So can you talk about what this guy's getting for like $80K?
Yeah, sure. So essentially it's just management of everything, including, I'm basically coaching him through opportunities organically in Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about, I'm running his Facebook ads, which includes, an ad spend budget.
Yep.
So I'm managing that, testing out campaigns. I come in and we do 8 videos every month as well.
So those are like you've seen my 90-second marketing videos, so they're kind of like that, right?
Exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly right.
And
so so those videos are being pushed out to YouTube. They've been, he's got an IGTV channel. He's also obviously going out to his Facebook page, his Instagram page. We're also doing Instagram stories.
Yeah.
All the bits and pieces with chatbots, building out or any landing pages and things like that for the specific campaigns that he needs, utilizing LinkedIn, all the LinkedIn automation.
Yeah.
So again, just almost taking what was working for me effectively and putting it in place for him.
So these are all the things you tried, dicked around with, got success, didn't, but drove a narrative that works, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So like for everybody watching who's looking back and saying, oh, I tried this, it didn't work. Oh, I tried that, it didn't work. Alan is literally saying, well, it could work for somebody else. Yeah. And as long as you're experimenting, you can add that to your tool belt and then sell that as a package, because shit works differently for different people at different times, right?
100%.
So this guy's getting Facebook ads with a dedicated budget that he pays for. He's getting 90-second videos that you push then to Instagram and YouTube, right? He's probably getting some coaching alongside of it, what to do. You're building out his Facebook group, right? You're telling what to say, not to say, how to say it, all of that. So he's effectively got like a chief marketing officer that is you.
As remotely working from, in and out of the office. We've also looked at like their letterbox drops and things like that. So letterbox drops is probably one of the most effective things. As great as social media is, there's still things that work in the modern day, especially for real estate. And one of those things is like the call to action on the little pieces of paper that they put in letterboxes. And being able to track that, retarget it, and all those amazing things during that process as well.
Fantastic. So are you putting Facebook ads as like an engagement campaign or views campaign to his 90-second videos? Is that what you're doing?
Exactly. Video views. Getting engagement through there, then retargeting. And obviously, as you know, Jeff, like retargeting's where majority of the money is. And it's really just the fact that, especially here in Australia, the market has taken a real dip this year. At the end of last year towards, towards this year as well. And without going too far into it, with the election, there was a recent election here in Australia, and some rates and a whole stack of other boring, stupid shit. Just means that like, what I'm trying to get at is there's a lot of real estate agents who are leaving the industry because it's the hard part of like here in Australia. And I was saying to him like and applauding him because he's essentially putting his foot on the gas instead of putting it on the brake. And for that reason, he's standing out a lot more. And like he comes back to me all the time and says like, you know, my competitors are watching me so hard.
Perfect.
Like one time they picked up a spelling mistake that I did, and all this other stuff. But we both know that like people are watching him and stuff like that anyway. So yeah.
That's fantastic. We have a question from Ignacio.
Yeah.
Ignacio says, if you were to start all over again, what would you do different? What would you do more? What would you do less of? If you had to repeat your journey, what would it look like?
All right. So the two things that worked for me starting out were being really, really present in other people's Facebook groups, as well as building my own, and LinkedIn automation. I cannot stress how LinkedIn has helped me, even to this day. Like I run in-person events, I do webinars and stuff like that. And generally about 60 to 70% of sales or tickets or leads or whatever come from LinkedIn.
No shit.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like I'd say 20% of it, like just depending on the campaign and whatnot, it might be 15 to 20% comes from Facebook ads, and then the rest comes from my own personal following or presence and things.
So I think it was interesting because you just mentioned in-person events, right?
Yeah.
So help me understand this. So you're doing in-person events for client acquisition. What are you teaching? How does that work for you?
Perfect. So that's what I'm doing now. Now that I'm out of my full-time job and I don't have to live this double life, the first thing that I did was start running in-person events.
Yeah.
And I think for if I could go back and tell myself to do in-person events and just get the balls to just run your own event, I would have done that. But in-person events, running your own event, whether it's a free or potentially even having like a VIP paid part of your event, which then leads into a boot camp, which I have with the way that I structure my stuff. I'll have a boot camp where we implement like LinkedIn automation, some fundamental tech stuff that needs to be implemented immediately, and then have 12 weeks worth of coaching and tweaking and all that other good stuff as well.
So this is another theme, which is all the stuff you've dicked around with in the past, had success with, didn't have success with. You're saying, ladies and gents, here's the toolbox. Here's all the other stuff you can do, and maybe you'll have better success with it. And I'll just teach you while we're doing it, right?
Yeah.
100%. And you just happen to be doing it in person. So if I'm understanding correctly, well, let me ask you this. Are you getting like clients from your in-person networking events driven by LinkedIn automation?
Let's like so LinkedIn is generating 60% of my entire business revenue. Worked it all out.
Yeah.
And even like I seen an ad by Sam Ovens the other day and watched his webinar, and it's the one where he talks about the 4 things. You might have seen it, might not.
Yeah, he dresses like a 19-year-old and drinks the bubbly studies like this is good. Yeah.
And so during that, he talks about and I did a review of my business after that. And the 2 things that keep working is LinkedIn, running my own events. And this is the other one, going to other paid masterminds.
Yep.
That's been like those 2. Yeah. So those 3 have been the most effective. And then like the Facebook group has been a really good nurturing tool for when someone's not ready right now. And whatnot, but so to summarize, and so in between all of that, there's other things like a really good use of like a CRM, or like for me, I use Trello to follow up people and the effectiveness of that. But I just think I don't know where I was going to go with that, but
no, that's fantastic. So I asked because like in-person events, hosting your own events, like that's something that everybody's always been doing, but now I'm realizing it's a thing, right? Steph is doing it. Gina Poole is doing it. You're doing it. And I'm realizing like I need to do it too. And there's really cool ways to make it clear that yes, they can pay you more money over time without being salesy.
Yeah.
And as long as blowing it out of the water with like, yeah, this is great, solve my problem. Yeah, we can take a next step. Like there's ways to migrate it correctly. But once like 15, 20 people have sat down and said, I've got a problem, can you help me solve it? You're like, here's 5 ways to do it. They're like, oh my God, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And
I think,
sorry, you go. No,
I was just going to add that, like, I think the thing with in-person events is it's an experience in itself. That, like, you know, someone takes their time. Let's say it's a 2 or 3 hour event, and they allocate that time. So not only do you have their undivided fucking attention during that period of time, if you come across as authentic, someone that's trustworthy, and you genuinely want to add value during that process, whilst, you know, providing enough value and knowing that I have a solution that's going to be more than just hyping up in this 2 to 3 hours. This is what it looks like in the form of an offer. I think and I think because we've got like a little taste of this, a little taste of that with social media, like, you know, we run so much impulsively on different things, but to actually stop and dedicate this time for my business, my growth, it makes complete sense.
We've got a pretty cool question by James McConnell. It says, so I'm an engineer at a company working a 9 to 5, just like you were, right?
Yep.
Making $80K a year. In any other world, that would be just good enough, but James really wants to make that number bigger, right? Which I totally understand, right? He says, how do you make the transition from full-time into marketing? And he's struggling right now with time management, and that's something you experienced, right?
Yeah. Look, here's the thing is I was lucky enough that I could screw the system and work 3 hours a day on my 8 hour a day job and still get away with it to some degree. I know for a fact that there's people who will travel 1 to 2 hours to get to work, 1 to 2 hours to come home, 8 hours in the middle. And equivalently, 12 hours of their day is taken up on working for, you know, 80 grand or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to find a way to not have to do that. I had time on my side. But if I was in that, I'd obviously just the allocated time would just be a lot less. Which means that your learning may be a little bit less. But again, just like, here's the thing, and you know this, Jeff, is that you can't, like, if you have a goal, you have something that you're striving towards, and that's the only thing that's important to you in your life, then you need to, like, you will just do whatever it fucking takes to get there. Like, and if that requires you to have a couple of hours sleep on a couple of nights a week because you're grinding and you're happy and you're doing what you really want to do, just find a way. Like, I think the other thing was that I used to go around telling people, like, I just started out in business because I felt that I needed to be upfront with that. But the thing is, people don't care about a lot of the things that you think they care about. What they care about is obviously the result. All they want to know is, can you give me the result?
Yeah.
Do I trust you enough to get me there? You know, that's all. Like, everything else, just like, you've just almost got to put yourself in their shoes and just go, what do they want? Like, what can I deliver based on what they want?
So I want to say that your story, Alan, and James's challenge is not unique. Almost everybody in the world starts out with a full-time job. Like, very few people like, hey, I graduated from college and went straight into agency and made $1 million. It's not like anything, right? And so it's this weird transition where you really cut your teeth and you learn how to effort, right?
Yeah.
And there's people like Alan, but there's also people like Steve Aquino. And there's a lot of people that I know of. And what they've done, James, and you can take action on this right now, is on the weekends, they're devoting 4 or 5 hours to saying, I'm going to do everything I can to make so much money with my marketing, or take steps to make so much money in my marketing that I can quit my job in 3, 6, 9 months. Yeah. And honestly, James, like, maybe your like quit my job numbers like 50, 60, 70K, as long as it's moving in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
And so you can do things like value videos. I mean, I call them Ravi videos because that's how he taught me. But there are people that I know that I work with. They started off with a full-time job. They just did Saturday agency work, right?
Yeah.
You can't do 7 days. You probably can't do 5 days, but you can do at least a Saturday, right?
Yeah.
And that means it'll take longer, but you'll still have that curve, right?
Yeah.
And so 100%. It's totally doable. Before we go into that, I do want to say that, guys, if you, Alan has agreed to 3 15-minute strategy sessions, right?
Yep, that's right. Yep.
Cool. So if you want to talk to Alan and have like a one-on-one and talk more about like what he's doing in exchange for the 80 grand, LinkedIn automation, his story, and all that stuff, just hashtag Alan my face. And I'll name the 3 people on the live, but I'm going to keep hitting up these questions if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, perfect.
Scott says, what does your LinkedIn automation look like at a high level?
Churning through the numbers. See, here's the thing is I think look at like with any sort of automation, you've got to try and make it as personable as possible, as if you are taking the time to write, messages and whatnot. So at a high level, it's connecting really like with a nice friendly message.
Yeah.
The second thing is, if they accept your connection request, the way that LinkedIn works or the way that this automation works is you can then send a follow-up message.
Yeah.
And that follow-up message may be to your event. It may be to your webinar. It may be to, I've got a 5-day challenge, which is my lead generation. And basically just utilizing whatever you have, but don't do it. Like, here's the thing is so for example, my lead generation is I'll send right now I'm sending a thing to say, do you want to join my 5-day challenge? And I basically write it in a way that I'm genuinely like, hey, I'm taking this, for this week only, I've got, this thing. Are you interested? Now, before posting the link and saying, join it, here's the link, I actually ask them first. If I get their buy-in, then I send them the link. And it's just little things like that automate. You don't want to rely completely on automation. You still want to get involved in the process. But yeah.
So automation will do like, let's just say 80% of it, right?
Yep.
You send a request, and the way you get people taking a next step with you isn't by saying, hey, buy my stuff. Isn't by saying, feel free to hit my calendar. You've got a 5-day challenge, which is easy for them to do. You don't really have to follow up, and really indoctrinates them or makes them take a next step. So you've got like a 5-day thing. Is that correct?
100%. And then obviously like the 5-day thing brings them into Messenger. And then it also subscribes them to my email list. And then obviously the retargeting ads, which is then, going to an application page.
There we go.
Yeah. And that's my process in a nutshell.
It feels much more socially acceptable to do what you just mentioned versus saying, hey, buy my stuff. Here's a link. Here's a VSL. Like, so by taking an extra step and putting $10 a day into ads, everything becomes kosher, right?
100%. Yeah.
So Zach has an interesting question, which is like, how much money and time did you invest into LinkedIn until you started getting your intended result?
So the LinkedIn automation cost me $97 for a 12-month license.
$80,000 a year fucking contract because of $97 a year tool.
See, this is the funny part is like people, and maybe I'm doing myself a disfavor here, but there's so much fucking opportunity in LinkedIn. And like, can I just also put in there is that LinkedIn's growing as a platform, and if you take, all right, so most people will have a Facebook business page here. Most Facebook business pages are getting 1% to 2% of engagement. The days when your Facebook page could actually really effectively grow organically without having to pay for ads to help the likes, the follows, all that other stuff. That how your Facebook page used to be 5 or 6 years ago, that's what your LinkedIn profile is right now.
Interesting.
Your organic reach is fucking incredible. You can reach decision makers with like voice memos, with, a simple message. I don't know what to say other than it's one of the most effective tools available today.
That's absolutely fantastic. We're running down to the last 10 minutes. I do want to say Ferrari Watts, Ignacio, who asked a question earlier, and Joe Samudo. Oh, sorry, Joe. I can't get it. I'm going to intro you to Alan, and you guys can get like the 15-minute strategy session. Alan will either do separate or a group. It's up to him. But that's absolutely fantastic. And LinkedIn, it's LinkedIn Helper. Is that correct?
Yeah, Linked Helper is the automation tool that I use. Yeah.
That's absolutely fantastic. And you can't just use the automation tool and expect the result. You've got other stuff along the way. Like you've got a DSL that works and ads and a 5-day challenge and an offer.
You've actually got to be a decent human being.
Yeah. You can't just be selling shit on the internet, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. And this is where it comes to, like, I think over a course of a period of time, not only do you grow in your own confidence to an ability to be able to service something, but also through the results and looking at what's working and what's not during that process as well.
That's absolutely fantastic. Yep. It's been amazing seeing you go from I have a shitty full-time job to now, like you mentioned, like you hired your wife, you work on the beach, all this stuff is like mostly automatic. Yeah.
Yeah, like just 3 months ago, because I'm no longer location dependent, like I still travel down to the real estate agency to do the filming and everything else, but everything else is just working. My wife's actually helping with that contract as well. And it's all, it's just like the thing I want to say and suggest, and like it's, some people may be watching who have families and have situations and circumstances that are holding them back from just going all in and, you know, responsibilities as adults, right? Adulting. But like, I just want to say, like, you may not be able to work the same way that someone else can, but just like we talked about before, just incremental steps. And just, I think the most important thing is be fucking grateful that you even have this opportunity in the first place, that you have clients, that you are getting paid, that you are moving closer towards whatever it is that you want to do. And I know that's hard in the shit of things, but the more that you can be grateful for what you do have, the more that like goodness just attracts to you like a magnet.
It seems like the going theme is realizing like you can't go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Life will get in the way. But as long as you're moving forward, you will be further along than where you were a week ago,
100%.
A year ago, or 10 years ago. And I see this with a relationship to people that want to be healthy or lose weight. Like, I can't go to the gym for an hour a day, so I'm not even going to try. It's like, we'll go for 10 minutes, right? Like,
exactly.
Have the incremental improvement.
Exactly.
So this has been an awesome interview. I'm going to introduce the 3 people again: Ferrari, Ignacio, and Joe. Look out for a PM. I'll introduce you to Alan, all that. It's been absolutely fantastic. And as like an outgoing remark, is there anything like you like to communicate to everybody who's just starting their journey or like about to quit their job or something like that?
Just the one thing that I see when I interviewed you and everyone else that I speak to who has some measurable success from 0 to hero is everyone backed themselves at some point in time. And if you can really just back yourself, whatever that means to you, in regards to like trusting your ability, trusting that it will be okay regardless of whether it works out or not, that's where it starts, is backing yourself.
Fantastic. So this has been Alan. It's now 5 in the morning.
It's now 7. It's almost 7 a.m.
It's almost 7 a.m. All right, Alan, don't hang up. We're going to debrief after. But everyone, thanks so much for joining. Catch you guys